Hello and welcome, Legionnaires, to Legions of Miniatures. Today we're going to be embarking on a campaign, an individual battle on Roll20. This will be a test to see how well Roll20 actually functions for us doing battle reports for you guys here, and especially while we're in quarantine and can't really see each other. It'll also provide us with a fantastic opportunity, if I do say so myself, to learn exactly all the points that break when we try to do a battle report on Roll20. Today's mission is going to be Ransack at the Incursion scale. It's an 1,000 points game between my Necrons and Callum's Orks. So, without further ado, I'll run you across my army list. So, I'll be bringing in a Royal Warden from the Indomitus kit as my HQ. He is from the Novok dynasty, as is all of my army, and he has the Crimson Haze Warlord trait and Lightning Field relic. This will mean that, thanks to Novok, all my units will reroll hit rolls in the combat phase when they charge, are charged, or heroically intervene. Furthermore, any units that are close to him will get an extra attack if they roll a 6 to hit. For my troops choice, I am bringing a Necron Warrior squadron. Only 10 of them, all armed with Gauss Flayers. Then I have 3 Scorpec Destroyers, a Canoptic Reanimator, 5 Destroyers with their heavy Gauss cannons, and 2 Doomsday Arcs. This all fits into a patrol detachment. My objectives for this mission are Dominion, which is the mission objective, While We Stand We Fight, which falls onto the Canoptic Reanimator and both of the Doomsday Arcs, Engage on All Fronts, and Ransack, which is the mission-specific secondary objective. Without further ado, I now hand over to Callum, who will tell us a little bit about his Orks. Callum, what's in your Ork list?
So my Ork list, starting off with the HQs. I'll say start with the clan actually. With the clan, I'm running freebooters to go with that very piratey theme that I like, which basically add 1 to the hit rolls for attacks made by models with this culture when if any other friendly unit has managed within 24 inches has destroyed an enemy unit this phase. With that, I have in the HQ, so I've got Big Mech with the custom force field to give that 5+ invuln against your shots. I have a war boss who is got the biggest boss stratagem, giving him a 2+ save going to a 4+ invuln, and he has a killer reputation that he gets from the freebooters. It's his warlord trait, which allows him to reroll 1s to hit in the fight phase for friendly freebooters that are units within 6 inches of him. And he's been loaded with a combi rocket set out and an attack squib. He's got with the troop options. I've gone with 29 boys split down the middle so that we have 14 shooters. 14 of them are going to be the sluggers and choppers, and 1 boss knob, which is also just got a chopper with a slugger. For elites, we bring along a pain boy to get that 6+ feel no pain, and then I brought some heavy support in the form of a death dread, which is loaded out with 4 dread claws. And I've also spent a command point on Orchimastic pistons, which basically increases the movement by another 3 inches, so we can get across the field very quickly. I've got the flash gits as well, because if you have freebooters, you might as well have flash gits. So I have 9 of them with the captain, makes it 10 in total. And I also bringing a dedicated transport in the form of the Chinook Warcopter, which is carrying 2 big bombs on it. So that is my list.
Fantastic. Do you want to tell us what your 4 objectives for this game are?
Well, it's the same primary objective, but the secondary objectives I have taken is under No Mercy No Respite. I've taken attrition, which gives me 4 victory points at the end of the battle round if I manage to kill more enemy units than my units that have been destroyed. I've gone with Line Breaker, which will score me 4 victory points if I can end with 2 or more of my units within your deployment zone. And then I've gone with raise the for under shadow operations, raise the banners high, which is one way I kind of score. If I use an action to essentially won't allow me to shoot, but what I can do is put up a banner, and that will score me a victory point every command phase, and one at the very end of the game, unless you manage to take it down by going to that objective.
Fantastic. When it comes to deployment, my Necrons have been deployed in such a way that the warriors take up the left-hand flank, joined by the Royal Warden. The elites, in the form of the Scorpec Destroyers and the Canoptic Reanimator, sit towards the middle of the battlefield. On the right-hand flank is the unit of 5 Destroyers, and really flanking to the far right and the far left are the Doomsday Orks. Callum, your Orks?
Yeah, so I've deployed a massive blob of boys, which have the captain as the war boss, with the pain boy and the big mate with the custom force field all in the center of that. So giving all those boys those buffs. I have the Death Dread slightly to the right of them, but still within that force field. And I have got the Chinook Warcopter, which contains the flash kits, and that's currently off the field with its special ability that the Chinook Warcopter has. So they're currently in reserves.
Fantastic. We rolled off a first turn, and it has gone to the Orks. So we'll jump right into the start of the game, and you guys can join us in just a second. The mission we're playing today is Ransack. As you can see, the battle plan is on the screen before you. And it starts out with this. From the centre of the battlefield, we have a deployment zone set 9 inches apart. This means that there's 18 inches between the players. 12 inches away from the centre of the battlefield is an objective in each player's deployment zone. 16 inches horizontally and 7 inches vertically from the centre is another objective. 4 of them in total. This provides the neutral objectives for the battle. All objectives are worth the same number of points, assuming that you hold them. The ransack secondary objective for this game actually changes that a little bit. And it means that if you hold objectives that are in your opponent's half of the battlefield, then they are worth a few extra points to you. I have taken this objective. So if I hold one objective in my opponent's side of the board, it will award 2 victory points. If I hold 2 objectives, I'll get 3 victory points. If I hold all 3 objectives in my opponent's half, I'll get 5 victory points. Now, you can go ahead and see this battle plan overlaid onto the map that we're going to be playing on today. And as you can see, we've got a nice spread of terrain across the battlefield. And you can see how all of the objectives are lining up nicely. If we go ahead now and look at the map itself, I'll talk you through the pieces of terrain we have. The green circles, with little bits of shrubbery, are in fact forests, and these use the rules from the core rulebook regarding forests. We have then 4 craters spread across the battlefield. These craters use the rules for craters, also in the core rulebook. And finally, these grey sections bordered by 2 walls are in fact ruins. These use the rules for ruins in the core book. Furthermore, those corner pieces, those corner walls, count as line of sight blocking terrain regardless of whether or not a model is stood in it. These are effectively representing the plastic walls that you would get in a ruins kit from Games Workshop, and the ground floor is often completely obscured. Because we are limited by this being a 2D battlefield, we were only operating on the ground floor of any of these items. And with that, let's jump in to the start of the game. So, we're going to go ahead and jump now into Orcs turn 1. So, Callum, do you want to just give a brief overview of your plan for your movement phase, and then we'll skip back once everything's been moved?
Okay. So, looking at how you've deployed your guys and the objectives, I feel like it'll be interesting seeing a Death Dread go up against all these destroyers by itself. I think I might take the Death Dread, just here, and I'll bring him kind of towards this objective, probably keeping him so that he's got some protection from the building. And then I think the whole blob of boys are going to be quite obvious that they're going to be coming down on that left-hand side towards this objective and use the cover there. And are we open play? Are we going to be able to bring in our Warcopter on the first turn?
No, we are doing match play.
All right, fair enough. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do then.
Not moving the. Sorry, you're moving the boys in any way?
Oh yeah, the boys are all going to be moving down that left-hand side
Just
to the
continue
other
to move them
objective.
forwards. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, we'll jump back as soon as we've completed that movement. All right, so we're back after the movement phase. What you done, Callum?
So yeah, as I said, I've moved the boys to the left. They only could move 3 inches because, of course, some of them were partly in the forest. But that was all right because at least they're close to the other objective in our terrain, in our deployment zone. Then we have the Death Dread, who's just kind of clipping that building, giving him a nice, I think it's +1 save, wasn't it? Because I'm worried about those destroyers down here in the south side. They're going to have difficulty shooting at him because of these forests anyway. So it's just a nice defensive position for him to be in, whilst he can still take that objective.
Of course, we're on a smaller map than normal, so actually we're only starting 18 inches apart. So some of your shooters are in range if they wanted to shoot. However, that would stop you from using the action raise the banners high on this current objective at the back here. Which one do you want to go for?
The shooter point. I would get the objective.
Okay.
The shooters aren't really that worth it, are they?
So let's go ahead and raise the banners high on the objective. And then we'll jump into the psychic phase, but neither of us have any psychers, so we can go straight past that into the shooting phase. And we will be right back and go through each of the shootings as they stand.
Okay, so onto the shooting phase. There's not much to be shooting because the boys have taken the objective, and Death Dread doesn't have any shooting weapons. So it seems that my war boss does have a rocket launcher, which is in range, at 24 inches, and he's going to go and shoot at these squad of guys down here.
Okay.
So he got a 5+. So we'll see if he can hit. Hey! With his strength 8, I'm guessing your toughness is going to be lower. So
I'm pretty sure with toughness 5.
Yeah, it's not quite double, but 3s are still nice. So
So I'd like to make sure
not
everyone's
quite.
attention has been drawn nicely to the roll window in the just next to my head, really. So the first roll there is displayed at the top. That's a 5 to hit, and then we're looking at a 2 to wound, which will not go through because he does not have double my. His strength is not double my toughness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Darn it! That was like the easier roll.
That concludes the shooting phase. Which reminds me, we have actually missed a whole phase off of this game. We've missed the command phase. And I think the only thing that happened in the command phase is you went up to 5 command points.
Alright.
So, that's resolved and fixed.
Does it score in the first turn?
You don't score, you just get an extra command point.
Oh.
Command phase, yeah.
Yeah.
Not got onto victory points yet. So, with that, we don't have any charges to make. And therefore we don't have any fights to do. And therefore, no injuries have been taken, so there has been no morale. Which means that we'll be back in just a moment to bring you on to Necrons turn 1.
Okay, sure.
So, we've already got this Orks icon up here, just notifying us of which objectives have got the banners raised high on. Callum, you weren't getting any victory points at the end of your turn, so let's just go over my movement phase. my 2 Doom sides are going to move right up into enemy table quarters, and this will enable me to start getting some points towards engage on all fronts. I'm then going to go ahead, and I think I'm going to move my warriors towards the left-hand objective. I'm going to move my destroyers towards that right-hand objective, and I'm going to move my Scorpec destroyers sort of up the middle of the table a bit, not a whole lot, and I'm going to have my Canoptic Reanimator trail behind but stay in range of that objective. First of all, though, the command phase. So during the command phase, I'm going to use my Canoptic Reanimator, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my Scorpec destroyers to benefit from its repair beam. Let me see exactly what it's called. I think it's like a Nano Scarab repair beam or something similar like that. And I will also gain a command point. I've not got any reanimation protocols to make this turn, so that will be fine. Let me see, it's called a Nano Scarab Reanimation Beam. Fantastic, so I think I've got the name right there. So, I'll go ahead and make my movements, and then I will join you all right back here. Right, so that brings the Necron movement phase to a close. As we can see, I have moved up my Necron warriors over here. They are within 3 inches just of this objective. Canoptic Reanimator is within 3 inches just of this objective, and my destroyers are within 3 inches of this objective. They haven't moved. Now, destroyers haven't gained a vehicle keyword, and they are infantry. So although they're equipped with heavy weapons, they are at -1 to hit if they move. Luckily, they can all of them see parts of this boy unit, and some of them can see that Death Dread. I am wondering, however, if it wouldn't be more prudent to move them over this way to shoot the Death Dread, and this is because of a interaction with the way that the rules work for modifiers now. You cannot ever have more than a total of -1 to hit or +1 to hit. So, if I have -1 to hit for moving and firing a heavy weapon, but also shooting through a forest, it's still -1. And so maybe I should make the most of that and target all my weapons on the Death Dread and take out what is a slight threat, seeing as it currently holds an objective. Now, my Doomsday Arks are in range of objectives, as you can see. However, as aircraft, they cannot hold objectives. So I'm actually going to go back on my movement phase. It's not technically over yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to grab these destroyers here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to move them. So that's -2 inches to their move going through the forest. There we are, 8 inches. And now they should all be able to go ahead and see that Death Dread. So yes, that concludes my movement phase. Onto the psychic phase. Obviously I've got no psychic powers, and we're going to have a little bit of an active shooting phase. So we'll rejoin you in just a second to go over everything that's going to be happening. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my Necron warriors, going to go ahead here and shoot up at the Orc boys. Now, I need to note if this scenery here is going to cause an issue. So the way it works with a unit, if I can draw if I cannot draw a line from each of my models, as I understand it, to one of the enemy models, and without it passing through the piece of dense scenery, I'll have -1 to hit. So because there's actually no way of me drawing a line from any of my Necron warriors to one of the Orc boys in the scenery without it passing through the scenery, my understanding then is that I'll have the -1 to hit. So I'll go up to 4+ to hit on my Necron warriors. So we're going to go ahead and roll 10 6-sided dice. And my 3D dice will go on there. Doesn't actually hold any relationship necessarily to what comes up on the results, but that's a 5 or 4, so that's 2 hits, and another 3, so that's going to be 5 hits. So that's perfectly average. My Necron warriors are strength 4 against your toughness of 4, so it's going to be 4s to wound. And that's going to bring us out to 1 wound. That's not very good shooting. All of your boys are in the custom force field as designated by this large yellow aura here. So you got your 5+ invulnerable save.
And a bit. All right.
Now, you'd normally
5+.
have +1 to your save due to the forest against shooting, but I have -1 AP, so your 5+ is better than your 6+.
Yeah, so it
And
makes sense.
you
But
go ahead and
regardless, it
roll
is
a 6.
fast. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. The boy is taken down. Woo!
My...
The unstoppable green tide.
Yeah, let's just keep it rolling, shall we? Because I'm going to go ahead now. My Royal Warden is like the first Necron character to have like dedicated shooting weapon. Unless you count the Catacomb Command Barge. So, he's at 24-inch range. He's not in 12, so it's going to be 2 shots. And he's going to be hitting on... well, I can actually draw a line with this guy to over here. Does this model say? Although I suppose there is a model in there, and I cannot draw a line from any part of his base to that model, so it'll still be -1 to hit, so it's going to be 3s to hit. Sorry, 4s to hit. Resulting in 2 hits. I'm coming in at strength 5, so it's going to be wounding on 3s. And that is going to be 2 wounds. Now this is at AP -2, so you got 2 5+ saves to make against this.
Okay, so 2 5+. Just gonna do.
This is from a guy who complains Roll20 normally screws you in the shooting phase.
It's my time.
Indeed it seems to be. Okay, so my Canoptic Reanimator has got an Atomizer Beam, but it's only got a 12-inch range, so it won't be going any shooting. Which then brings us down to my Destroyers. So my Destroyers are all in range of with their heavy Gauss cannons of the Death Dread, just to sort of show that. Oops, come here. They're all going to be shooting through forests, but that doesn't matter because they've all moved with heavy weapons. So they've got 3 shots each, and there's 5 of them. So it's going to be 15d6. Fairly certain it's 15d6. And they're going to be hitting on 4s, however, re-rolling 1s. So it's going to be 3 1s. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits. Do the re-rolls, which adds another 1 hit. So 7 hits total.
Okay.
I'm looking at a strength 6. What's the toughness on a Death Dread?
It's toughness 7.
Toughness 7. So we're going to be looking
Pretty
at 5s
tough
to wound.
boy.
So 7d6, 5s to wound. And 1 wound. AP -3.
AP -3, so I got 3+ save, so that goes up to a 6+ save then.
Yep.
So.
Nope.
Oh, not quite.
Let us go ahead and bring about the D3 damage. 3 damage.
3 damage for.
One of the nice things about playing on Roll20 is that we can actually have these little health bars above the units here. And as you can see, we can see exactly how many wounds it has, and there's no dice on the table. This is a minor advantage, and I don't think it outweighs some of the cons. So, let's go ahead then, and I'm going to put both my Tesla Destructors from my Doom Scythes into the Orc Boys. I'm going to then put my Death Ray from this Doomsday Arc into the... Well, I'll start with this Doomsday Arc. I'm going to put its Tesla Destructors into the Orc Boys, and I'm going to put its Death Ray into the Death Dread. So, Death Ray is a heavy D3 weapon. So let's see, let's go ahead and make 1 shot. I'm going to spend a command point on that to re-roll the number of shots. So let's try that again. 3 shots, that's much better. So, we're looking at... it is a heavy weapon, but it is attached to a flyer, which is a vehicle, so it doesn't have the -1 to hit, so we're going to be hitting on 3s, as we haven't taken any damage yet. Okay, we've got 2 hits there, and we are coming in with a strength 10 weapon here. Now, the death ray, it turns out, is a blast weapon. So I might actually shoot the orc boys with the other one. So that'll be fun. So let's see, we've got 3s to wound here. So that's strength 10 against toughness 7. That is resulting in 1 wound at AP -4.
1 wound at AP. Well, I get no save against that.
Are you accounting for the +1 save that you have for having part of your model's base in... Oh, no, it's a vehicle, isn't it? So it doesn't actually get the bonus from infantry, swarms, and beasts. So it's just D6
I would have
damage.
got that 5 save originally. So
5 damage. Does it explode?
It's a yeah. No, it does not.
Okay.
Wouldn't have made much of a difference anyway.
We're going to just take him off the board.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then the Twin Tesla Destructors. I've got, so 2 of those. Each of them do 4 attacks, so that's just going to be 8d6. And now, obviously, with Tesla weapons, these are the exceptionally fun variety of weapon. Any hit roll of a 6 causes 3 hits instead of 1. So, 8 shots, hitting on 3s. Let's see, so we've got 3 misses and no 6s. This is probably the worst Tesla I've ever fired. Oh well, I shan't complain because it's going to eradicate some boys now. We're looking at a strength 7 against toughness of 4, so it's going to be 3s to wound. And that's going to be 2 wounds.
2 wounds, you say?
No AP.
No AP. Well, it doesn't make any difference because I've still got the 5+ save. So I'm just going to roll 2 lots of them. Neither of which are saved.
Okay, so that's 2 boys dead.
Are they? Are they?
Well,
we still have Pain Boy!
Oh yes, of course, the Pain Boy is there, so they each get a 6+ to see if they feel no pain. No, it's just 1 damage each, so just going to be 2 of them.
Yeah, I need the 6s. Nope.
Okay, so 2
of them will die.
Yeah. Let's do that again with the other Doom Scythe.
Move 1.
For those who are wondering, aircraft do ignore any -1 to hits due to dense terrain, and they also can target. They also ignore the obscuring nature of obscuring terrain. True line of sight still matters. So let's see, we've got 1 6 there, so that discounts 2 of those misses, but otherwise it's only 3 hits, so that's going to be a total of 5 hits again. And we're going to be wounding on 3s for all wounds, so it's going to be 5 saves for those orc boys.
Oh no! Oh no! 5 then. All right. Come on, force field. One of them's protected.
And then 6 ups for the Pain Boy.
No, so 1 boy,
so
4 of them
boys die.
Yeah.
Now, my Doom Scythe will fire its its Death Ray, which is a blast weapon. So it's a D3 shots. So actually, if it's shooting a unit that's got more than 6 guys, it will get 3 shots minimum. So no matter what I roll here, it's going to be firing 3 shots. So I'll just skip that step and go straight into firing. So it's hitting on 3s. That's going to result in 2 hits. And this one is wounding on 2s, as we have strength 10 against toughness 4. Okay, so it's going to be 2 wounds at AP -4, but you still got 2 5+ invulnerable saves.
Yep. So that's going to be neither of them.
And each one of these does D6 damage.
Again. Oh, okay. So I'm just going to take that they're dead.
Well, so the first one you've already lost a guy to, and then roll a D6 for the second one.
Let's give several D6s for it.
Well, you've already done the first one, kind of, haven't you? So, yes, that's 2 dead.
Yeah, there's 2 dead.
Okay. That concludes my Necron shooting phase.
Oh.
And it will also conclude my charge phase as well. I'm not going to be making any charges. Which means it will also conclude my fight phase. Which brings us into the morale phase. I don't believe your Orc boys have lost enough dudes to trigger a morale check.
Well, they've lost in total 8 from originally there was 29 of them there was.
So still 21 leadership.
Yeah.
You can't get to that. So,
Yeah.
at the end of the turn, I'll just tot up any victory points that we have. I know for a certain that I've got these Necron warriors in the bottom left. I've got this Doomscythe in the top right, the top left. I've got this Doomscythe in the top right, and I've got these destroyers in the bottom right. So that is going to be 3 victory points for me for control on all, engage on all fronts rather. So let's go ahead and 3 victory points. I don't hold any objectives in my opponent's territory. That doesn't matter. And while we stand, we fight is scored at the end of the game. So that puts me in the lead at the end of the first turn with 3 victory points. And with that, we will be right back as we work out what Callum's going to do on his turn, and we'll run through his movement phase. So, we're coming in now with Orks command phase. This is a situation where actually I don't think you're going to get any points from the primary objective this turn, Callum.
Do you not hold the...
Dominion is slightly different to the other one that we're more used to. Dominion, you have to hold 2 for 5 points, 3 for another 5 points, and more than me for a further 5 points. I'm actually in control of 2 objectives. So you're in control of 1. So actually you don't get any points for that.
But I do have a banner.
You do have raise the banners high, so you'll get 1 victory point for that.
Yay!
Let's see. You'll also gain a command point.
Yep.
I think that's your command phase.
Yeah.
So, shall we run over your movement phase?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring all these boys, and I'm just going to charge them straight down. I want to get into combat. I want to kill things. That is all I want.
Okay. How are we doing that?
So I'm going to. So the whole. Should I move them now? Well, I need to advance them first. I'm going to advance them.
Okay.
Just to kind of ensure they get into charge. I don't really think the shooting's really worth it, so I don't mind having that minus penalty.
We'll be a little bit lax and let you roll the advance for each of the guys before we start moving them.
Yeah.
But we will just make sure that we leave space for people to move through.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll also by probably the end of the turn also bring in the warcopter, so you can get some shooting going on.
Fantastic.
And trying to think where would be probably the best place to drop that. I'm just looking. Wait, let's show me the bottom for some area. I should be able. Can I deploy here? Inches towards the bottom.
Yeah, you got a nice area in this sort of region down here.
Yes, I might come down here then and.
So it should be noted that we are playing on the smaller table size. If I was intending to actually try and really obscure parts of the battlefield, I probably could fan out my units a little bit more and cover off much more of the table surface from things like the strategic reserves and deep strikes. However, it seems to be at 1,000 points, with the way the points have increased and the table sizes have got smaller, it doesn't seem really that that is maybe as an effective a strategy. Maybe if you've got something scary, like you've got maybe you're playing a predominantly Imperial Knight force and you're up against Blood Angels with their like 3 smash captains or whatever, you might definitely want to try and take some guardsmen to ward off a bit of the table. I'd probably recommend, I don't know if guardsmen are necessarily the best method, maybe Space Marine Scouts or even just Tactical Marines might be okay, but seeing as that you can take them in units of 5 and not be hindered by that coherency. But we'll bring in everything and move everything forwards. Shall we make those advance rolls? So let's go ahead with the Orc boys.
Okay, so the boys, come on, let's do some advancing. 4
inches. Okay, so after the -2, they're going to be going 7 inches.
7 inches in total. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I
just move them straight forwards for you?
Oh yeah, just move them down. We know where they're going.
Obviously, guys, if you're playing in person, don't touch each other's models. Be COVID safe.
I
And
can move
we'll
some.
separate some of these guys at the back just to make sure that we've left space
Yeah.
for characters to come
Yeah.
through. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Okay. So let's get.
Are we leaving anyone behind to hold the objective?
Just feel like you're just going to shoot it down. So no, everything's going to charge up the field. Why not?
Okay. Okay, so War Boss.
So the war boss, yep, he's going to get. Wait, rolls. They're up. Bit of delay. 6.
So he'll just be able
Should
to
be
get
fine. Yeah, he'll get in there.
nicely into his previous cubby.
Next to big boss. Boss up there. And then we're gonna get in the big mech.
Okay.
Which with a 5, he should be happy to get in as well.
And then our Pain Boy.
And Pain Boy! Hey! They're more eager to get in. We're on the Warg!
Fantastic. So the characters are all keeping up in the lead. Now then. So let's go ahead and bring in your Chinook Warcopter. You want to bring it in down in the south?
Yep, I do. So I'm gonna
sort of down this way somewhere.
Let's find out a good place to put it.
Let's just go ahead, and here's none of the other things that you can do really nicely with Real 20 is I can put a 9-inch aura on these guys here.
It's gonna be a bit too much of a tight squeeze, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be too tight to get him in down there.
I'm probably going to be looking at probably putting it somewhere around table here.
Okay, let me just put in the other necessary auras to consider. Looks like you're quite nice there. Obviously, don't want to be clipping the base on those walls because you wouldn't be able to put a normal base there. So we're going to want to just rotate it around more like this.
Alright, sorry, I'll let me do it.
There we are.
Alright. Not a tight squeeze, but it's in.
So let's clear off all these auras. And with that, that brings us to the end of your movement phase. So we'll discuss your shooting phase and be back with everyone in just a moment.
So I'm actually going to use a stratagem here. Because we're the freebooters and I thought I got some command points to spend. So we're going for what is Kill Cruiser Broadside, which essentially I can use at the start of the shooting phase. I can select up to D3 points on the battlefield, as more than 6 inches away from any of my away from the others, and visible to a freebooters unit from your army, and I have to roll a D6 for anyone within 3 inches of that point. On a 5+, they suffer D3 mortal wounds, and if it's a character, I think I have to subtract 1 from that. But yeah,
is it a 5+,
might have a bit
not a 4+?
No, on a 5+.
Okay.
So I'm going to see the D3 roll, see how many points we get. For 2 points.
Locations. Okay.
I'm
now
happy
we can't re-roll this because it's not with the changes to the command re-roll stratagem. It sort of limits us a little bit. So where do you want to put your first point?
So the first point I was going to put somewhere around this big squad of guys over here. Try and get probably somewhere around here, so that I get all your units in that area.
Where do you want to put your second point?
Ooh. There's roll D6. Doesn't actually say the points.
They have to be more than 6 inches apart
from the other. So I'm wondering if I should.
So I think you might want to actually put one over sort of like here, and then 6 inches away, put one sort of like right next to this model here.
It has to be 6 inches away from my guys as well. So I'm going to have to put it a bit more further that way.
But you can put like a
And
point
have,
here to make sure that you're just within 3 inches of that unit.
yeah.
Not quite within 3 of this. So you can actually bomb these 2 units here and then have a point here which bombs all of the units.
Yes.
That'd probably be the
Which
best way
that
of
would.
going.
Yeah. So that's what we will do.
Okay, so you go ahead and roll. Well, the Scorpic destroyers are being targeted twice, so roll 2d6 for them.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly. So I want to roll a. See if it hits. It does not.
Okay, so the first one doesn't hit the Scorpic destroyers. Does the second one hit them?
It does.
Okay, so they take d3 mortal wounds, which means that I need to actually work out how many hit points a Scorpic destroyer has. Probably 3.
Yeah. Oh, so there's a chance. There's a chance, isn't there? Whew. Come on. So on a 5 or a 6. On a 5 or a 6. It's there. A 1.
Okay.
Run it. So it takes 1 wound.
The Necron warriors, they're going to be targeted by 2 of these bombardments, so roll 2d6.
Okay, the first one
First one doesn't.
fails. The second one doesn't.
Also fails. Okay,
Yep.
so my Vargard Rohan, the Royal Warden, he's targeted by 1 of them. So and he's a character, so it's only a 6+ for him.
Yeah, he's fine then.
Okay,
So
and then we got the Canoptic Reanimator. He is not a character, so go ahead and
5 or 6. No.
Okay, so
3 command points for 1 mortal wound.
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
I think you got about as good a setup as you could there. And you've done some damage without triggering, a possibility for me to do reanimation protocols. Maybe that's a bonus. So, but now we'll consider this and go on to discuss the rest of your shooting phase and be back to resolve that.
So, we've made my decision. And we'll start off with the boys first. They're just going to shoot everything into those guys right in front of me. So yeah, we've got a lot of boys to go through. So we've got the shooters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shooters. The sluggers from the back can still shoot as well. So we got. So they have 2 shots apiece from. Just count them against 7 of them. Yep, 7. So it's 14 shots with. It's going to be 19 with another 7. So 26 shots from the shooter and the sluggers, essentially all into them. So I'm going to take advantage of probably the. They have advanced with their assault weapon, so they will be having -1 to hit. So we're looking basically for 6s. Any successes will then have the Daka. Which is 5 successes.
Okay, so you got 5 Dakas. And while you do those, let's see.
Yep. So, which generates another 2. So in total we have 7. 7 shots going through. What their strength 4?
Yes.
And what's your toughness is?
Toughness 5 on the destroyers.
Yeah. So we're looking for 5s.
I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
Yes, toughness
5. So 2 of them go through with AP 0.
2 of them go through with AP 0. So we've got 3+ saves. Yep. Which is going to go ahead and bring us to 1 wound taken.
Right, it's a wound. We'll take it. Go on, lads.
So that places one of my destroyers down at 1 wound remaining.
The Big Mech also has himself a slugger. I should have probably thrown that in because it's the same.
Well, the Big Mech's advanced, so he can't fire a slugger.
Because it's a pistol, isn't it? Yeah, it's not like.
So it's just your rocket launcher left.
So the rocket launcher is Assault 1. So
Here's a question.
1 over
Do
6.
you
Yep.
still want to fire the rocket launcher at the destroyer? It's only going to do a maximum of 1 damage instead of its 3. You could fire it at a
Really?
reanimator, maybe.
True, because I've already weakened it.
If it wounds the destroyer, it kills the destroyer, like, hands down, no question. Well, 6+ save, I think. But if you go for the reanimator, then you can do more damage to it.
Okay, you know what, we'll take your advice, and we're going to go with the reanimator. It still has to hit with the chance of it still hitting though. So this is still a 6. So 1 shot, 6.
Nah.
Nah, it doesn't go
Enough.
through. But now we're going to have our flash gits, which are inside the copter. The copter, which is open topped, allowing them to still shoot. They essentially have moved, so they're going to have -1. But they're with a 4+ ballistic skill. That's all good for orcs. It's going to go up to a 5. And yeah, they're going to shoot everything into the reanimator.
So the flash kits are
so
going to
they,
be firing at the canoptic reanimator.
yes, and there's also the captain as well. But I think yes, I think they will have snaz guns. They do. Yeah. So I'm looking at what 30 shots in total.
Hitting on
With
5, so we're expecting about 10 hits. But then we're going
hitting
to have
on
some Daka
five,
in there.
and of course, yeah, they're going to have Daka. So 13 successes. 1, 2,
That's a
3,
lot
4,
of
5, 6,
sixes.
7, 8. I'll take it. So, how many of those, however, they need to go higher than 5 still.
Okay.
So another 3, so 16 in total. I'll take that. I'll take
Okay.
that. Their strength 6 and their toughness 5, so mine are higher. So with that, we're going to be looking for
Can I
freeze.
just say, I can only see 1 4 in that huge mass of 30 shots, and 2 in the Daka. You've shot basically as well as you would have without the -1 to hit.
Well, yeah, sometimes that works. It gives from one, the dice just roll to roll.
I think
Either
all we can
1
see
through
here is
6s.
flash kits are OP, please enough.
Okay. So we'll see about this. So that you're looking for higher than freeze. So 8 of them go
Are you
through.
strength 6?
Strength 6, yeah.
Okay, 8 go through.
So
What's their
AP
AP?
-2.
Okay, so we've got a
2.
3+ save normally. So we've got 8.
5+.
Let's see, we just want to see what are greater than 5. Here. It's unlikely to kill me, so 5 of them succeed, which means I've taken 3 wounds on the canoptic reanimator, putting it at half health.
Because there's 2 damage apiece.
Oh, they're 2 damage apiece?
Yep.
By canoptic reanimator.
Yay!
We forgot to declare for the people at home what your other parts of the Chinook warcopter were shooting. So you were going to shoot the big shooter from the warcopter into the reanimator.
Yeah, just to finish it off.
It doesn't. That's the big shooter's lost, but your Rattler
all right.
cannons are going into the destroyers.
Yep. So with the Rattler cannons, it's a 2d6, so we kind of get to see how many shots I will get with that. That's not great. Is it worth command pointing that?
So with this, I'd like to say, I think it is important to note that actually you're not going to be at... I mean, these are heavy weapons, but you're a vehicle. So you won't have the -1 to hit here. But it is important to note that you can actually draw a straight line to every part of one of my destroyer's bases without passing over this terrain. And so you're not at -1 to hit through the forest either.
Ooh.
Which means that actually technically going back to the previous turn, with the fact that I could draw lines from my warriors to boys who weren't in the forest, I probably wouldn't have been at -1 to hit.
Should have expected more dead boys then.
So we should have expected a few more dead boys. But that was I did check the rule at the time and I did misread it, so it's my own fault.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to use a command point here for a reroll. Because that's just horrible. So
Yeah,
I'm going to try
3
and
shots
roll
on
that
2d6s.
Yeah. Oh, for flipping sake!
I mean, come on, your flash gets did just do nicely.
I spent 4 command points. They barely do me anything. Oh my god! All right, so yeah, 3 shots it is then. 3 shots. We're looking at. Yeah, don't you say like, oh, you know, roll 20. No. This is what I expect. This is what roll 20 gives me. So I'm looking at a ballistic seal of 5+. It is a vehicle, so it doesn't get the -1 to hit, does it, when it moves?
So it's just going to be hitting on 5s.
So look at hitting.
So actually, this has been
5.
like this change with vehicles has been really good to orcs because although a lot of your vehicles do have assault. Although a lot of your vehicles do have assault weapons, there are a number of them who do have heavy weapons, and being able to move and shoot those heavy weapons literally increases their success rate by 100%.
Yes. I mean, they need it. They desperately need it.
But increasing your success rate by 100% is not the same as having a 100% success rate.
Oh my goodness! All right. Well,
so that brings the shooting phase to almost close. Do the flash gits shoot again?
Oh yeah, for the D6. So on a 6, they get to shoot immediately again. They don't.
They don't.
No.
So with that brings us to the conclusion of Orcs' turn to shooting phase, which then leads us straight into the charge phase. So I think we've only got one predominant charge going on, which is a big warg at my Scorpec destroyers.
Yeah, warg! Boys.
So,
right.
What are we starting with?
Well, it has to be the boys because they're in the way. We're gonna charge at the
destroyers.
We just want to charge at your scythe guys.
Sure.
Do we want to charge at? So I mean, what's the charge I'm gonna need for this? Thanks to my war boss, it's still advance and charge. I mean, it's just 3 inches, and of course I get unless it's. Let's say 3 inches. What do you actually? I'd say it's 3 inches. We get a reroll. Maybe it makes no difference if we roll double 1, it's still a fail. So yeah, 3 inches with a reroll. Hopefully I don't get screwed up again. So rolling 2d6. And with a 7, that gets us in.
7 will get us in. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment after we finish moving the models.
So yeah, we've now moved all the boys, and they're getting nice and close for some chopping. But we also made a bit of space on that right-hand side because, of course, we can't leave out the captain. We wants to get in as well, you know. So he's going to make a charge roll himself.
For those who aren't familiar, the captain being his war boss. It's the name we've given him.
Yeah. And I mean, we're looking for like 4-inch charge here, so let's see if you can make it. And a 5-inch. It's needed. That's all it needed, really. So it's in. A bit more than what needed, but
there we are.
Hey, getting nothing close. Nice and personal.
One of the things I want to bring a quick bit of attention to. Let's zoom in a little bit more on this area of the battlefield. Is this little separation between the orc boys in this area here. Now, what's gone on here is actually all of these guys are in consolidation with at least 2 other dudes in their unit, but they are stretched thin over this bridge, and all these guys on the other side are in consolidation. And this is just a little event that's happened in moving all the guys around the blob of characters in the middle to make sure that there's still going to be room for the captain to come through.
Yep.
So, I don't think we've got any other charges, so let's stay zoomed in at this level for the fight phase.
Yep.
So, I need to decide first if I've got any heroic interventions to make, and while I might like to make one with Vargard Rohan, I'm not sure I can actually fit him through the gaps. Yeah, if we look at that, he's definitely clipping over 2 units there. So, as much as I would like to let Vargard Rohan run into the breach, I just realised he's Vargard Rohan. Maybe I should... maybe he needs, like, a subordinate lord called, like, Theoden or something. I was watching Lord of the Rings yesterday. Because I could not sleep, so I stayed up till about 4 in the morning, just watching stuff. So I watched Return of the King. That was good.
Yeah.
Right, so then, it goes on to the fight phase. So first of all, you get to choose one of your units that charged.
So, should we have a go with... I think it's going to have to be Captain first, isn't it?
All right,
Try to see if
so...
Captain can kill a guy. What weapon did I give him?
What weapon?
By the way,
weapon?
yeah. What weapon?
What
I have
weapon?
to remember, killer reputation, so I get to reroll ones in the fight phase for friendly freebooters within 6 inches of my warlord. So everyone's getting the rerolling ones. Now he's got the attack squib. He also has... I've given him a big chopper.
Attack squig. Come on, he's not a squib. This isn't Harry
squig.
Potter.
Squig. But you know, he has the attack squig, and he also has a big chopper. So should we do the attacks with the chopper first?
Sounds like a plan.
So with he's got what, 4 attacks he has. So we're going to make those 4 attacks. He's got a 2+ weapon skill. So
normally you're a big fan of power claws and stuff, but it looks like you're saving points this game.
Yeah, but I also think that I was like, well, going on Roll20, I'm fed up of rolling ones. Power claws are just a bit inconsistent. Sometimes they can really do us wonders. Sometimes they just let us down. So I thought I'll just go consistent big chopper. It'll do the job. So 4, we're looking for 2s. So we make a roll. 3 of them go through.
Rerolling ones.
That's all right. Yeah, I get to reroll the 1, don't I? So
you more or less should hit all of them.
Yay!
So 4 hits with a big chopper with a orc. You're still looking at like toughness, strength 7.
It's strength's 8 actually.
Strength 8, 6 + 2. Nasty stuff. My guy's a toughness 5, so it's still
still 3s.
It's still going to be 3s, indeed.
Yeah. So this is where the power claw will be, more beneficial because you could make it 2s, but
also,
but 4 rolls won't
go
hide
into
them
your
3s.
settings and turn on 3D dice, man. Come on.
Oh.
Got to give people at home something to look at beyond our pretty faces. Well, my pretty face.
Yeah. How dare you?
Fight me.
I am insulted, sir.
Fight me in Roll20.
All right then, take this. Oh wait, that didn't work. That didn't click. Yeah! Get done.
What's the AP?
It was AP -1.
AP -1. Okay, so I'm looking at 4+ saves. So looking for 4s or more. Ooh, only 1 goes through. So that's this Scorpec Destroyer.
2 damage.
Dead. Well, he's only got 1 wound left. He doesn't
dead.
care.
Yeah, well, he's dead.
I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm actually gonna. Oh well, you got your attack squig still, so you make 3 extra attacks with the attack squig, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s.
So it makes can make 2 additional attacks. So it's 2 attacks. And it's still got the same ballistic, the weapon skill. So we're looking for those 2s.
Kind of noticed that my camera has slanted slightly.
Okay. I'm trying to solve that a bit.
Like that window is meant to be flat along the top there. It's not.
But 2 of them going through. What strength 4? So with a high toughness, we're
Is
going
it
to be
only
able
2
to.
attacks extra with the attack squig? Isn't it 3?
Yeah, it's 5. Sorry, 2 attacks, 2 additional attacks. It says.
Fair enough.
And
It's not quite as good as a Thunderwolf Cav. Or Thunderwolf.
you say that, but
That's-
neither of them
that's-
go through.
Yeah, well.
Never mind.
Okay, I'm going to whack in
Can't
2
whack it.
command points for counter-offensive stratagem to let my Scorpic Destroyers attack before those Orc boys.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's actually going to weaken the Horde any. You'll probably just take them off from that back blob there. Although, you might take off some of the shooters
If
to let
you
your choppers
take
get
off
into range.
If you take, you have to remember they're still above 20. So if they're above 20, they'll get an additional attack. So if you manage to kill 2 of them, I will lose my extra attack.
So, I've got 2 of my Scorpic Destroyers, but they've each got different weapon types. So, my leader has got the Hyperphase Reap Blade. That's an interesting weapon. Okay, the Hyperphase Reap Blade is just a War Scythe without the -1 to hit. That's really interesting.
So that's good.
It's good, but I don't want to use it to kill boys. I probably should have allocated wounds to the guy with the Reap Blade first. If I was doing this again, I would allocate. Yeah, I would go ahead and
Killed that guy off instead.
killed that guy off instead. Oh well, we're in this position now, so he's going to make 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s for being a destroyer, but as part of the Novok dynasty, and I have been charged, I will be getting rerolls all misses. So, let's see, we got 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s and 2s. We have no rerolls, however, the 6 for being within 6 inches of the Vanguard Rohan, the Royal Warden with the Crimson Haze Warlord trait, I get to make 1 additional attack roll for that 6. And that's going to hit, so I'm going to make 4 hits. We're going to be coming in now at Strength 7 against the boys. So we're going to be wounding on 3s, AP -4, it's massive overkill, and D3 damage and just 3 damage means the Pain Boy is likely not going to do anything. So, let's see how many 3s of these I can get. Okay, so it's going to be 3 Orcs dead. So go ahead and make... Go ahead and...
how much damage are they? Just straight 3 damage apiece?
Straight 3 damage.
Oof. Alright, so...
This is a better War Scythe, actually.
It's basically, it reminds me of, like... we have the Power Club. We also have for... trying to think, what's the upgraded one? There's the shiny...
Yeah, it's only +2 instead of ×2 strength, so
all right,
quite there.
So but I mean, it's kind of like an upgrade where you got D3 goes up to 3 damage, and then you've also got the.
Oh yeah, it's like a Thunder Hammer in that regard.
Yeah. So I'm looking for 6s on 3 of these. How many do I get? Ooh.
1 guy dead.
None. So yeah, we just keep doing it. So 3 times, wasn't it?
Yep.
I mean, if all 6 would be amazing.
Next guy's also dead, and the last one.
And yeah, he's dead. We'll probably take 3 from the back still. So I'll get rid of that guy there. You do want to get rid of those shooters though, don't you? So probably.
I might suggest getting rid of the shooters in the front and just move more choppers into range.
Yeah. Wait, I tried to move my book out of the way. That's just fine. I'm also deleting them, and I shouldn't be. I should move them out of the way. So we'll move 1 shooter. Actually, we'll do the front ones. So we got 1, 2. Do this still have to remain currency at the moment, or
no? We don't have to worry about that till the end of the morale phase.
So we could get rid of those 3 here.
In that time, you'll still have a pile in and a consolidate move to worry about.
Yeah.
So speaking of pile in and consolidate moves, we will go ahead and make some pile ins and consolidates, and we will rejoin you once we've concluded that and get right in to the boys in the combat.
Whoa. Attacks well.
Before we jump into the boys in close combat, let's recall that I've got another dude in my unit. And that's a phone call.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Right. Phone has been answered. Let us get to what really matters in life. Brutal murder. So, let's go ahead. I've got my other Scorpec Destroyer, who is armed with Hyperphase Threshers. So, let us thresh some Orc boys in the Hyperphase region. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling misses, 6s, and allow an additional attack roll. So that's 2 misses to go ahead and re-roll, which results in 3 hits. We are coming in now at Strength 5 against Toughness 4, so it is only going to be 3s to wound still. And that brings us in with 3 wounds.
3 wounds?
AP minus 3.
Yeah,
2 damage apiece.
Alright. Well, we still have Pain Boy, so but 2 damage apiece, so we're gonna have to roll for each one. So look.
If we're doing this correctly, that's 2 boys dead and then 1 more.
Nope. Nope.
That's them all dead, if you think about it, because you wouldn't. Because you'd do it one at a time, I guess, wouldn't you? I suppose you wouldn't, actually, because damage doesn't spill over, so it doesn't matter.
2 damage apiece, wasn't it?
Yeah, never mind. I'm getting in my own head in a silly way. Yeah. So that's 3 more Orc boys slain. So if we're going to continue to remove shooters, which one do you want to keep alive? That one. That one's gone.
Probably one at the back.
Yeah, he's out.
And then maybe this guy here. There we are.
Right. Now we'll be right back with the consolidate move for the Orc boys heading into their first close combat of the game.
Okay. The boys. They want to get in and chopping. Annoyingly, you attacking first has lowered them to 15, so it means they won't get the additional attacks. But hopefully there's still plenty of boys to cause havoc. So if we count, I think we've got the boss knob, who gets an additional attack himself. He also has a chopper. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chopper boys. And it's that shooter boy as well. He's going to be also in range, isn't he?
You got 7 choppers. So there's 4 and then 3. This guy back here is now out of range, because we are looking at it now. Rather than being within 1 inch, it is within half an inch for engagement.
It should be. I'm counting because you got this guy here as well.
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
boys.
And then you got
a shooter and a boss. But the boss knob has an additional attack, don't forget, so you can't. So it's going to be 7 times 3.
Alright. Which is 14, 28. 21, sorry.
Plus
21.
Plus 4. 25.
25.
Plus 2.
And then additional 2. 27.
27.
So 27.
27 attack rolls. Hitting on 3s. Re-rolling 1s. Can they do it? Let's find out.
Really be a lot of counting here.
This dramatic voice is not appropriate for the situation, but I'm doing it anyway.
It might take a while for it to load. It's still rolling the dice and we've broken it. There we are.
Having a think about it. So that's going to be 4 rerolls.
1, 2, 3, 4 rerolls, yeah.
In a world where dice take a while to roll,
3.
You can only score 22 successes.
That's alright.
Did I say only? That's pretty good.
I'd say it's not. Yeah, that's not bad. It's good.
But now,
20.
You're attacking a foe with a higher toughness than your strength's characteristic.
Yes. How many of them are going to go through? We'll see. Go on, boys.
We are looking for 5s.
There we are.
Now that's
8.
a lot of dice.
Yes! 8. I mean, AP0, but...
Against a foe who has AP 0. A Scorpic Destroyer gets its full save of 3+. This voice remains to be entirely inappropriate.
Oh my!
Whoa, 3 wounds go through.
I'll tell.
I'm going to remove this destroyer here.
Yay!
Yeah. Okay. So the only thing we've got left to do in this bit of the phase is the consolidate move for the boys. So we'll be right back after, well, there's no messages to come, but, you know, after the consolidate.
Okay, so we've consolidated, and all my boys have wrapped around your guy here, and that's our attacks.
I think this is a really interesting event, actually, because it does 2 things. First of all, I can't place a Scorpic Destroyer in coherency with that destroyer without it also being in engagement range, I don't think, of another, or without it being within an inch, definitely, of an Orc boy. Therefore, even if I succeed a reanimation protocol, it doesn't count. Furthermore, unless I can kill a whole bunch of boys with my Necron warriors who are just about to attack, I'm in the position where, actually, I'm going to have to use a desperate breakthrough stratagem, which risks the life of my Scorpic Destroyer if I want to do a fallback. Now, that might be a situation that I want to do because Vargard Rohan, my Royal Warden, will be able to let my warriors fall back and shoot still after falling back. And he can fall back himself, so that's fine, so that'll get them out of combat. But if my Scorpic Destroyer remains in close combat, he is going to really be in a tricky way. Additionally, if Callum so wanted, he could attempt to cut them down, which is a stratagem which will allow him to roll a d6 for every model in engagement range, which is, 6 boys and a knob, so it's going to be 7d6, and every 6 will cause a mortal wound. It's unlikely to kill my guy, but if you can knock him down a couple of wounds, it makes him much more vulnerable for the next round of combat. And if you get lucky, you definitely could kill him. So this is actually a really good position for Callum to be in, and not a great one for me to be in. Just thought I'd discuss this before we jump straight into me whacking your Orc boys. So let's just go ahead, have this guy piling up there, and he's going to sort of come around there. He's going to come around there, and then no one else really can, I don't think, get into engagement range. Maybe this Necron can come around the side there. I should turn my phone off. And so that's going to be what? All bar 2 Necron warriors through able to attack. So it's going to be 8 attacks. Going to be hitting on 3s. Well, that looks to be quite nice. Only... Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong one.
4. 4 miss.
4 miss, so...
So,
well, we're going to be winning on 4s, so we're probably only looking at 2 wounds here. And then they got a 6+ save. Yeah, 2 wounds there. Go ahead and make your 2 6+ saves. You don't have your Pain Boy in range any longer, unfortunately.
No. But he's done his job, hasn't he? So 2 6+ saves. No successes, so 2 then go.
Okay.
So I think remove the last shooter guy there.
And then my Royal Warden's just got some attacks as he like whacks you with his Gauss blaster. So let's go ahead and just make it's just going to be 3 attack rolls, hitting on 3s. Only looking at 2 hits there. Oh, I am Novok, so I get reroll failed hits. Let's just finish the Royal Warden, then we'll hop back and just do those Necron Warriors. Especially since actually I've got 6 of my Necron Warriors as well, so that generates an additional attack. So let's do the additional attack for my Royal Warden as well. That's the additional attack for my Royal Warden. It fails to hit, so I've actually I get to re-roll that one, and I get to re-roll the other failed hit. So this is doing the re-rolls now. That's going to result in 3 hits total. We're looking at
All right.
my strength of 5 against your toughness of 4. So this is going to be 3s to wound. I wish that was the attack roll. I wish that was a hit roll. And that, so yeah, that goes ahead and that concludes my wounding. This is just a close combat weapon, so there's no AP or anything. Go ahead.
Okay, nice. So 3.
And you'll forgive me if I just mute my microphone while you do that.
Why am I 6? You give him 6s. That's 3 more down.
What can I say? Quantum manipulations. So 3 more down.
That would explain a lot. So 3 more, which is a real shame.
So let's look back now to the Necron warriors. Let's see if I can scroll up for the people at home. Where do we get to with the warriors? So this was the attack roll with the warriors. That is 3 misses and 1 6. So let's go ahead and roll the 6. The 6 generates a hit and the 3 misses. Let's do those rerolls. Are all translated into hits.
Okay, so it's 3 more.
4s to wound here.
Well,
1 wound.
only 1. All right. So AP.
So I have to say, one of the things that I'm noticing, I think, a little bit with Novak Dynasty is it does kind of mitigate Necrons not necessarily being amazing in close combat. Just that reliability to the low number of attacks that I'm getting is quite nice, to be fair. And I'm just trying to, and I am led to wonder if it is actually just straight up better than, say, move and shoot heavy weapons without penalty, or those things, especially if you're up against an army that you know is going to get into close combat with you.
Yeah, like the Orks, for instance.
That's a
I
consideration.
mean, you definitely whittled down a lot of boys in this turn. So you have been incredibly effective, actually, in combat. So yeah, it's worth playing, I think.
Hopefully, let's see, it's my turn next. So hopefully your boys survive to the following turn, so you can the Great Green Tide.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, it concludes the fight phase, and we're going to hop now into the morale phase. So your boys have lost some serious numbers this turn.
So, yeah, because I mean, last turn I lost. I was on 21, wasn't I?
Yes.
And now I'm down to what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
9.
8, 9. So, yeah, they've lost
11.
12. Is it 12?
12.
It's,
Yes, 12. 12.
21 minus 9, 12, yeah. So they've lost 12. Leadership, 9, essentially.
You'll be losing D6. Yeah, if you need to roll a 1 in order to have heroic bravery.
All right.
On the morale check, which you do not get. So at this stage, I guess you get to choose if you want your war boss to go about breaking heads, or do you want to lose one of your boys and then a third of the remaining models. So let's think about this. Let's think about this mathematically. If you lose one guy, that leaves you with 8 dudes remaining. A third of 8 is just under 3. So you'll have lost 4 guys total on average. Breaking heads is D3.
Yeah.
And
so
it's not even D3 models. If you rolled a 1, you could allocate it to the knob and lose nobody.
Yeah.
So breaking heads is still beneficial here.
Yeah. So we're going to roll a D6 and see what we get. D6.
For those who aren't quite sure why he'd be losing a third.
Oh, what's...
Hey, it's still better. It's still better than the average. By
seriously,
0.6 recurring.
Don't ever say roll 20 if it does me nice.
So, for those wondering why he'd lose a third of his models, it's just because he is now under half of his strength. He started the unit with 29 guys in it. So, as soon as he went past, what would be 14 models in the unit. He'd go from losing guys on the combat attrition test on a 6 to losing guys on the combat attrition test on a 5 or 6. Okay, so this has been quite brutal for the Orks and puts them in a dangerous position, but they still have that Scorpec destroyer wrapped up. Let's go ahead and remove my 2 destroyers here to avoid any confusion. So then, at the end of the Orc's turn, no, I don't need to make a morale check for my Scorpec Destroyer because he's leadership 10, lost 2 dudes, can't roll an 8 on a d6.
Yep.
So at the end of the Orc's turn, we must review our our objectives. So line breaker, you've not got anyone into my deployment zone yet, so that's not come about. Attrition, I've not killed any of your units. You've killed my Scorpec Destroyer, so you're going to score some attrition.
Hey!
How many points do you score in attrition?
4 victory points.
4? Really?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
4.
Surely not. I'm getting the book open now. I don't believe you.
It says it in the Excel document you gave me.
Yeah, well,
4 victory.
You know, I just copied things into the Excel document. I make mistakes.
Alright.
4 victory points!
Yeah! Let's stop complaining, you've got this.
And raise the banners high, you've already scored this turn. So that puts you on 5 victory points.
Yay!
And with that, I believe we conclude. Well, actually, hang on. We don't score attrition yet. You will have 4 victory points if we get to the end of my turn and I've not destroyed one of your units.
It says...
Because it will be at the end of the battle.
At the end of the battle round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you can shoot
I
one of mine.
think those orc boys are going to be a pretty decent target.
Yeah.
Right, well, we will turn over into Necron's turn 2, and I'll be right back with my movement phase. Okay, so at the start of my Necron's turn, we'll be gaining a command point, whacking us up to 5 command points. I would be making reanimation protocols, but even if I succeeded on them, my Scorpec Destroyers will not be able to be put down, and so we can skip over that. During the command phase, Vargard Rohan here is going to select the Necron Warriors with his ability called Adaptive Strategy. So now, the Necron Warriors can fall back and still shoot and charge this turn. When it comes down to holding objectives, I am... Ooh, I've moved a Necron Warrior. Have I done this foolishly? This Necron Warrior is just within 3 inches of the objective, so I hold that objective, and I hold the objective on the right-hand side. There's 2 objectives, and it is more objectives than my opponent's. That will be 5 points for it being 2, and 5 points for more than my opponent. So it's going to race me 10 points into the lead. So, with that, we're going to come on to the movement phase. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm rotating my Doom Scythes, and they are going to go ahead and move along these lines respectively. My Destroyers will move across to the other side of the forest, just so that in the future turns I can go ahead and make some shooting, maybe without them being at -1 to hit. My Warriors will fall back just a little bit in order to be able to shoot, and then I will use the Desperate Breakout stratagem with my Necron Scorpec Destroyer in order to try and get him free. So, before we leave you now, let's roll a d6 and find out if he succumbs to the desperation of his breakout. So on a 1, the model is removed. So he'll be able to fall back, moving through enemy units as though they were not there, unless Callum wishes to use 1 command point on the cut them down stratagem.
I have a feeling that you're going to table my boys. So I'm going to take every advantage of them being there, so I will do yes.
Okay. So, go ahead. You have got 6 guys in engagement range. Roll a d6 for each of them on On a 6, my guy suffers a mortal wound. You'll need to roll 3 6s.
Alright, so there's 6 of them in range, though. 6 guys remaining. So, I need a 6 to kill him, right?
You need a 6 to kill him.
Right. Come on. Come on, roll 20. Putting my faith in you.
Unlucky, but it was a risk. You're on average only going to get 1. So I will go ahead and fall back my Scorpic Destroyer to about there. And
I don't know how many command points I've spent this game, but none of them have helped.
we will be right back after I have finished my movement. Fantastic. So, as we can see here, my Doom sides have effectively swapped the side of the table that they were flying on. My Destroyers have moved across, as I mentioned that they would. And my Necron Warriors and the Royal Warden have dropped back from the Orc Boys, and my Scorpic Destroyer has fallen back just a little bit. Maybe I should have fallen him back further. Let's see. Sort of to about... Yeah, if I actually fall him back all the way, I can get him into range of this objective. So let's go ahead and just drop him down just here. So, one thing I'll actually say when recording this, summarizing my movement phase is a really nice way of just actually catching out the things that maybe I should have done differently. So you might want to adopt this into your own games at home. If you are sort of just going to make your movement phase, just go ahead and summarize the things that you've done at the end of your movement phase, and I'll just give you that moment of thinking time. You know, but then maybe you'll play against someone who just wants to do like touch move as though you're playing chess. If you're playing a friendly game, and both of you do it, you know, it might actually help you guys out a fair bit. So, we're going to go on to the psychic phase now and skip straight through the psychic phase into the shooting phase. And this shooting phase is going to be a little bit interesting. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, I'm just going to start by throwing... Yeah, I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to throw complete overkill. All 10 Necron Warriors are going to shoot the Orc Boys for 20 shots.
Yeah.
And we're going to be hitting on 3s. So, best of luck, Callum. 13 successes.
I like your number ones you've got.
Yeah, well, they made up for it in 2s. This is 1-1 in the middle there, nice and red. And so it's only strength 4, so we're going to be looking against your toughness of 4, so we're going to get 4s to wound. So it's going to be 6 successes. With a 5+ save, you are going to have surviving boys.
Ooh. I mean, you say that.
Even without it, your knob will be on 1 wound.
Yeah, but you have to remember there's things like morale and stuff that are still going to be a thing.
Yes.
So I'm looking. Was it AP minus? Was it
AP minus 1, but you'll be in the force field regardless.
Oh yeah. So that's. I think I rolled. Was it 5? I should have rolled another one. No, is it 6? Wasn't it? Just roll another d6.
Okay. Well, here's an example of Roll20's dice system being quite nice to look at, but it's not necessarily accurate. There is a lot of 1s that we think we're looking at. There's actually only 1 1 that he has rolled. However, it is no successes. That leaves all of his boys dead and his knob on 1 wound.
Yep.
A dreadful day indeed. About to be made worse. Vargard Rohan is going to shoot as well. So he's got a rapid fire 2 gun. He's going to make, therefore, 4 shots. Hitting on 3s. Wounding on 3s as well, because he's got strength 5, AP minus 2. So, Callum, go ahead and make 2 more saving throws for the knob, if ye please.
2 more saving throws, alright. Come on, knob. Hold tight. We can do it. Okay.
Ooh, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. This is...
Nope. Just nope. He's gone.
And the knob has fallen. So with that, actually, I've successfully denied you attrition.
Yes, because you've killed someone. So we both have killed one unit this turn.
This is now in a interesting situation, as the rest of my shooting can be a bit more freeform, really. So my flyers aren't obstructed by buildings. So there is an element to say, these characters are just in range of a good death rating. So let's start with my top right Doom Scythe. I'm going to fire the Tesla Destructors into the Chinook Warcopter. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's going to be 8 shots. Hitting on 3s, and we're going to be looking for those 6s. Ooh, I do like those 6s. So that's 7 hits normally, and then 3 lots of 2 additional hits. So that's another 6 hits. So we're going to be looking at 13 successful hits from the 8 fired. Coming in at strength 7, I do believe a Chinook Warcopter is only toughness 6, so we're looking for 3s here as well.
Yeah.
Might even be toughness 5. Looking at the 3s to wound here, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 failed wounds.
Toughness 5.
Toughness 5. So it is 9 successful wounds at no AP, however.
Hey, we get a 4+ save. It was 9 of them. So you're literally taking the mick. You're literally taking the mick.
So that's the Chinook Warcopter dead.
Yeah, it's dead alright.
Does it explode?
Well, no, it does not explode.
Okay. We will pause the shooting phase right here, and we will be back once we've set up all the flash kits in the right place. So we've removed the Chinook Warcopter. Now we need to make sure, need to find out how many of the flash kits didn't survive the crash landing. So Callum, there's 10 of them in your unit. Go ahead.
10. D6 rolls. So anything that's essentially, isn't it, a 1?
On a 1, a model is destroyed. It's not a mortal wound. A model is destroyed.
Okay. So. Hey!
Oh!
Hey!
Oh! Thank God! Oh, roll 20 scared me there. There are 4 1s on the screen, but in reality, not a single one has been Roland. Roland rolled. Oh. For a moment there, it looked like bad luck was about to really bite you in the behind.
You saw the previous roll, I think. The follow-on.
I mean, the guys on YouTube will agree that what is showing on the screen here seems to have no correlation with what is showing on the screen down here.
Oh, I'm taking that. Man, I needed that. Too many ones. I don't like it.
Okay, so the next step is to shoot your big mech with the death ray. So we're looking at D3 shots, which is going to bring us in at 2 shots.
2 shots.
2 shots hitting on 3s. But resulting in 2 hits. Wounding on 2s probably. I don't think he's toughness 6.
The big mech's not. I don't think it would be toughness 6.
Okay, well he's on his force field because that is 2 at AP -4.
Toughness 4. AP -4 is 2. Alright. So we're looking for 5s once more. One of them is succeeded. Hey.
He takes D6 damage.
Alright. Well, he's just dead.
Well, he's got the pain boy right next to him.
Oh, he does. Yeah, that's true.
If I re-roll this, there's a 50% chance I do as well as before, and there's a 33% chance I do better, which means he's less likely to be saved by the pain boy.
Okay. They do.
It's not a great risk. Well, I mean, it's not a great set of odds, but it's not a terrible set of odds either.
Yes. I mean, you're still having to look at the fact I'm having to do 4d6. Like, I need to still get a 6.
Yeah, on 4 dice. It's not...
Yeah.
There's no guarantee of it, but it's still... The likelihood is like more than 50%.
Alright. So you're going to go for it?
So should I take a 50%? If your likelihood is more than 50% of surviving, should I take a 50% chance to try to maintain or improve these odds? I've got 5 command points. Let's spend 1.
Alright.
If I spend it now, though, I don't use it for the rest of the shooting phase. Let's do it.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Okay, make that. Go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Go.
Should not have done that. Cool. Big Mac takes 1 damage.
Wait, knowing with my rolls, I was about to say, I probably would have just let it through. I'll take that.
Out of curiosity, just humour me. Roll 3 more d6.
Alright.
Well, I should not have done that. Fair enough. Okay, well, let us waste no time and shoot my other Tesla Destructor. Let's shoot those into the flash gits who have now arrived from their transport. So this is on the other Doom Scythe. We're looking at 3s to hit, 6s causing doubles. So we've got 4 misses, but 2 additional hits. So that's going to be 6 total.
Okay.
Looking at 3s to wound. Ouch. That's going to be 4 wounds. That's actually average. It's going to be 4 wounds.
4 wounds is on the...
I do want to just quickly check, if we can pause the recording briefly, I just want to quickly check the nature of light cover.
Okay, so I'm going to allocate the wounds to the guys inside the building. Because they're in the light cover, they have a 3+ save instead of a 4+ save. So hoping that as long as one of them survives, the unit will still remain in coherency. So yes, just to kind of prevent more people from dying, it would be best to go with the 3+ save. So yeah, we've got 4 rolls.
We've got 4 of them, but do 3 first of all, because if it goes terribly and like the first 3 all fail their rolls, then you're going to be up onto a 4+ save.
Alright.
So do 3 first. All successful, and your 4th?
Yes. Alright, so wouldn't they have to be rolled all together?
No, because you do technically you allocate the wound rolls one at a time.
Wait, let me do that again.
Well, just take that first dice that was rolled there, the 2.
Right.
It was a fail.
2, yeah. Alright.
That is a... This is an example, guys, of someone hitting the up arrow on roll 20 and forgetting to delete the 3 and just adding a 1. Okay, so you've lost 1 flash kit.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to shoot my, as I was saying earlier when I was pointing things out, I'm going to shoot my death ray into the pain boy. So let's see how many shots I'll get. 1 shot before I use that reroll. Really coming back to bite me in the back. So 3s to hit. And onto the Necron destroyers.
It hurts, doesn't it?
Necron destroyers are just going to have to shoot the these guys. The
Fair enough.
splash kits. So there's still 15 of them. Looking at 3s to hit, re-rolling 1s. So let's find out how many ones we've been allocated. We've been allocated 3 ones.
Quite a few twos.
All of which hit. So that's looking at 11 hits. We've got a strength of 5 against your toughness of 4. Voice going funny there. Is it 4?
Toughness 4. Yes,
Yep,
it is
I
toughness
would
4.
have thought it would be. So that's 1, 2, 2 fails. So it's going to cause you 9 at AP minus 3.
Well, they're 4 plus save, so.
So you can squeeze a 6+ if you want to allocate them to the guys in the ruins. Hang on, it's 9, isn't it?
Yeah.
It might be worth allocating them to the guys in the ruins first.
So to do 2 at a time, are we?
Yeah.
All right. So because they get at least a 6 save. So. What's wrong with the rope? 2d6. All right, maybe it's because the 0 wasn't there. Oh.
So starting on these guys here. Okay, so they're actually both dead, which means the whole
Yeah.
unit's dead.
Yeah. All right. There go all those flash kits.
Rest in flashy peace. With that, it's going to go on to the charge phase. For me, I do not wish to declare any charges. And thereafter, it shall go on to the fight phase. There are no fights. Thereafter, it shall go to the morale phase. I have no morale checks to make, neither do you.
Yeah.
And if we then look at the objectives, I have engaged on all fronts once again in all 4 table quarters, so that's going to go up to 6 points. Ransack, I'm not holding on any objectives in your table quarters. And that brings us then to the end of Necron's turn 2. We can play this forwards if you would like.
So at any point, the
Alternatively,
3 guys remaining.
Alternatively, from the start of my next turn, unless you can kill my Scorpec Lord, I'll be getting 15 points from the primary objective.
And I'm getting 1. Well, I get 1. I get 1 for the banner.
Yeah, you'll be getting 1 for the banner every turn.
Yeah.
So, are we going to concede?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Good game, man.
It's been a good game. We will head over to the other screen and join the guys at home for 15 or so minutes of just our thoughts on the game and what went right, what went wrong, and how we can improve for next time. So we'll see you very shortly, guys. Okay, guys, so as we saw there, it was a lovely little victory for the Necrons. So Callum and I, let's talk through a little bit about what we thought in hindsight. Now that obviously hindsight is 2020. When it comes to list building, what are our thoughts on the matter? Do you want to lead off with this?
Yeah. I kind of like once we were starting, like at the very beginning of the battle. I was going for like this idea. I want to have a bit of a freebooters army, so I put this thing together, and I was like, oh, orcs. The way I always love playing orcs is just get you on a horde army. So I want a squad of boys. But of course, when you like saw you setting out, like I've got my doom size, my flies and stuff, I'm just there like I have nothing to deal with that. So I was like, I probably should have tried making it a bit more balanced. But yeah. So I think in the end probably don't bring too many boys because that was just ridiculously expensive. And in a 1,000 points game, I'm like half of my points is on that squad of boys because you need to then bring the big mech to give them the 5+ save, or else they're just even squishier. The pain boy to try and give them that 6+ feel no pain. It just builds up costs so quickly. So maybe just better just having like a squad of 10 boys and just putting them in a vehicle like a truck or something just to keep them protected. By doing so, that will cost you instead of like 500 points, probably somewhere down in the region of like 160, which is a lot. Of course, not as deadly, but I think at least I would have then been able to spend that on other areas to move things back that could hold objectives. Because in the end, I just had to try and charge you really, which
Yeah.
I love doing. But in this game, it's just that's not really a working strategy.
What do you think to maybe having used units of knobs instead of boys, rather than
Uh,
spending that many points on a big unit of sort of 29 boys, maybe a unit of 11 knobs. You can give them some nicer upgrades, some
mhm. I mean, yeah,
or
you
just
the only
even
reason,
double choppers and whack them in a truck. If they then come out the
yeah,
truck, they're going to be a serious threat.
you the the only reason you would want to bring knobs is to give them those a better weapon, because essentially they're just like a boy with 2 wounds, and um, yeah, it just it you, it
Then
cost wise they're double the cost anyway.
right,
So you maybe could argue putting some knobs into a truck because you can then fit kind of more wounds in there. Um,
but boys in a truck are probably just as good.
well, I mean, it's like 10 boys versus 10 knobs, but of course, then the knobs are going to be much more expensive.
If
Um,
if I can offer my 2 cents on the matter, I'm going to actually say I think in this edition, if you're going to be playing the objective, the primary objectives are always going to involve going to stand in specific locations.
mm,
Boys with 2 attacks each are still decent in close combat, and if you give them shooters, maybe they can be as effective. Well,
I
maybe not as effective, but they can get some more effectiveness out of them before they're going to get shot off points.
Yeah, but
Um,
the issue I have with this is as an orc player, the reason I like orcs is I want to charge people in combat, and for me, if I had to play an army where they're just shooting based, it would just kill me. I just couldn't play an army like that. I don't like sitting back. I have to charge people. So
well, you're still
I
charging
don't.
at them. It's just you're shooting them as you go, screaming, obviously,
Yeah,
the famous three
yeah.
words: "Daka, daka, daka."
I think we've always okay. If we still charge them, they're fine. But like, I always think that you should, as you say, like half of them being shooters, there's half of them being choppers, because you say having that additional attack with the amount, because you only can get a certain number in close combat anyway.
Yeah.
So it's better to try and get as many attacks from each model that you can. Um, so I think it's the right balance. I do think we should go half shooters, half boys. But I think in this circumstance, because it's a 1,000 point game, I wouldn't recommend bringing almost like 30 boys,
Yeah. Or
because they're just too
maybe
expensive. And if you should be in something, because then you don't want to do force field and stuff. You just want to put them in like a vehicle, just get them across the field as quickly as
what
possible.
about 30 boys in 3 units?
Um,
So you'd effectively on turn one you would have walked onto
if you
all
put
three of
again,
those objectives on
if
your side of the battlefield.
they need the thing is, boys have this 6+ save. They are incredibly squishy.
Yeah.
So you need something to protect them, and then so if you're going to do that, you either get several big mechs, which it's going to get costly, or so you're going to trucks is probably the much better option. Just put them all in trucks, and then just get them going to those objectives.
Well. Okay, so we think we've covered off some of the things that we've learned with your list creating this time
Yeah, I was just
around.
going to have a bit of fun with the
Oh yeah, this is like our
food.
first proper game of Ninth Edition. We dabbled around a
Yeah,
bit with some of the leaks that came out through Warhammer Community and through other sites, but this is the first one that we've done using the new points values, owning a copy of the rulebook, and actually sort of really sitting down and thinking this through and playing, for me as well, with some of the new Ninth Edition Necron units.
mm,
So let's take a look now at the Necron force. I'm going to come out
yeah.
here and say, in this game, 2 Doom Scythes were going to get me a minimum of 2 points a turn for 5 turns. A minimum of 10 points. And the way that this worked out here, by the end of the game, I would have maxed out engage on all fronts at 15 points, just thanks to these two doom scythes circling around. It's actually possible, looking at it now, actually, that probably wouldn't happen because
they would have to
in
come
turn
back
3 I'd actually probably have to come down this way. So if I was really doing this, I should have run my Scorpec Destroyer up this way, 8 inches, and then next turn he could run into the other side of the territory. And then these destroyers can just advance there and across into the other side. Well, they don't even need to advance; they can just move to the other side of the map, and it's just going to be continuously raking in those points. I think flyers for engage on all fronts are going to be amazingly good this edition.
Yeah,
because
get across the field very easily and get into those
especially
areas.
if you got like a good flyer, like like these guys, the Death Rays, lovely. They did great work, annihilating. Well, first the Death Dread, and second, blowing up the. Well, actually, they didn't do anything after killing the Death Dread, did they? Because I decided to command point reroll my 4 damage to the big mech down to 1, and then missed with the other one. But they had the setup to do really great work. I did shoot the Orks with my Death Ray using Blast. And one thing I will say is it's still, like, from a how it feels point of view, it still feels really sort of like it's like a consolidation prize blast when firing at like a horde. I'm hitting an Ork boy with toughness 4 and a 6+ save with a strength 10 AP -4 D6 damage weapon. Sure, it's getting 3 shots instead of D3 because there's so many of them. But it still doesn't feel great. I'm not going to be going out and because of Blast picking up an Imperial Guard army just so that I can run Tank Guard and bang 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 Orcs dead left, right, and center.
Yeah, but I do think that's correct though.
Yeah, I mean it's going back towards sort of picking up on the losses that Blast weapons had from the transition from 7th to 8th edition, where the templates were lost. So for those who are relatively new or joined in 8th edition, previously we had these lovely little circular templates that were like 3 inches in diameter, 5 inches in diameter, and then you had a teardrop template that was 9 inches in length that represented the flamer, and you held these at the weapon. You held the flamer at the teardrop template at the tip of your flame weapon and counted the models underneath. That was the number of hits you got. Or you put the little circular template over a blob of units, and so everyone was kind of like encouraged to spread out their models to avoid the danger of the blast weapon. And it was then a case of could you funnel people into a point where they had to blob up and then hit them with a nice big explosion. I think we're getting back that way. Doing 3 hits to a unit with more than 6 guys is probably equivalent to having that little 3-inch template and holding it over a unit that's been spread out optimally. And doing 6 hits to a unit that's spread out optimally with a big template is probably about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, where it really shines is things like 3D3. And if they've got, taking 9 shots, if they've got, 11 or more guys, is it? I think it's 11 or more.
It's 11 or more. Just the maximum.
So, I don't think blast weapons are quite in the position. I don't think most blast weapons are in the position where I'm like really excited to be shooting the nuts off of boys and nids and I don't know, cultists or whatever.
They are meant to be kind of more like heavy weapon shooting at heavier things.
Yeah, but as it
can't be
at least I don't feel as bad about shooting the boys. Once I've run out of vehicles to shoot.
Yeah, it becomes a thing where
it's a
still
win-more situation.
More viable to use them on something like that.
It feels like a win-more situation.
Yeah, but I think it definitely did, because in my point, with my blob of boys, I'm starting to see now several more guys being lost, and it makes a huge difference because, of course, if you go below that 20
Yeah.
threshold, you start losing out on the number of attacks. So having that small, losing one or two guys can make a huge difference to something like my horde army. So it's a bit of a thing is a concern, a worry for us, because it's going to be much harder now to try and do things like the unstoppable green tide, because your opponent's now got more ways of being able to try and keep my numbers slow, well, gone essentially, so I can't bring them back. Um, so but yeah, I think at the same time, as you said, otherwise in the last edition, they were just completely useless against them. You might just get one of them killed, and I think it's a much better balance. I think I prefer that, even though I haven't really had the chance to utilize on that myself.
Yeah, it's a situation. So anyway, I
Mm.
really liked how my flyers did this game. The
Yeah.
Scorpec destroyers, I think they did pretty good. Um,
Uh,
and I
the
am,
destroyers. Yeah, the guys on the right hand side, aren't they? The
yeah,
flyers, the guys.
uh, the,
They.
not my normal destroyers, my new Indomitus destroyers, the Scorpex
Or were they the ones with the massive
with
blades? And
the big blades. Yeah,
when you say they did all right, I mean, that's a lot of boys dead.
yeah. And I forgot that
And
with the Novok Dynasty, I have access to that 3
with,
command points. Select a unit to
with that,
fight again.
usually when I throw a blob of 30 boys at people, it's just devastating. I have been literally, I was like, I was
Admittedly,
like,
you didn't get 30 boys into combat. Um,
they were still
by the time
almost
they got
20
to
being
attack, they were
combat.
under 20.
Yeah, true, but they weren't that two under. But usually that's the case anyway. I'm used to that happening. But you still got, you're throwing in like 30 odd attacks and stuff. It's just
So
the they they killed a lot of my boys, and that is something where I'm like, I've been like an Orku melee army has just been handed. Uh, I've you beat me in combat, and that's the one thing I was kind of hoping to do this game, and I was just like, well, you beat me in all fronts. I have to admit, the Necrons are very effective in combat now.
with the exception of my Doom sides, I think you beat me in shooting as well. There.
Yeah, that I was surprised because that's one of the things to say. Like, I prefer being melee based, but those flash kits completely wiped out that one guy. That I mean, I have to say, I have to admit, like flash kits, I still don't think are that great. Because we have looters, which are
Yeah.
just more versatile, and with the flash kits, you have to put them under freebooters, and it's like I don't know, the freebooter stuff doesn't like use free command points on that the
Well, you don't
kill
have to put them
broadside
under
thing. Like,
freebooters. They can be in a detachment that's not freebooters, can't
yeah,
they?
but they won't get the. I think so, but they won't get the buff. Um, which, as you say, with the looters, however, the looters will get it. So it's like, especially now they've made looters a bit more reliable with the number of shots they can do for
Are they blast weapons or
command
Azaka
points.
guns?
No, they're not. But
Sorry,
you
hitting
can
the microphone.
you with the spanner, you can roll 2 and then pick the highest dice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's making looters which just I think are just better to use in most situations. So but yeah, I mean, it's weird being, as you say, like I was more effective in shooting. But then again, you did shoot down my Death Dread and gun down a
I
bunch of
did,
boys.
yeah.
So I think you,
Saying that, excluding my Doom sides, I think you were as effective in shooting. I still had my Doom sides, so we can't really exclude those.
yeah.
All I'd say is, let me see just how many points I spent on the Doom sides total, because I had 2 of them, and each one. Well, I spent 340 points on my flyers. So my Doom sides made up a third of my army, and they were untouchable. And
I mean,
as I say, raking in 6 points over 2 turns.
that was more down to my fault. As I said, I didn't have anything to counter them. It
I
was,
don't think. I think if you come in off of 8th edition, you're not expecting someone to bring 2 aircraft in a 1,000-point game. You just don't expect it. But with the patrol detachment, and I think the reason for that is because of how the auxiliary detachments used to work in 8th edition, and also how if you wanted to take flyers, you had to take an air wing detachment. So I couldn't just say, well, here's my patrol detachment. By the way, there's 2 aircraft that are just going to fly around and create utter havoc. So yeah, I mean that was particularly interesting. Once the game got started, when it comes down to deployment, do you think there's anything that you could have done better?
Maybe just kept the Death Dread with everything else. I would have had to just keep them as all as one blob, which is not actually. It still would have been bad. Because you really need to control the field, and I just didn't have anything to control the field with.
Yeah, you kind of. I think.
But that Death Dread went immediately, and it's like.
I think it's time to stop thinking of orcs as this like horde army, and start thinking of them as this like wave that just covers everything. You know, like literally a great green tide. I think that might be the way to look at them going forwards, to really get the the best outcome out of them.
Yeah, I like the idea of just charging a blob of boys at people. You know, that's just like the whole fun for me for being boys is that it was a horde army. But...
Yeah, I think they definitely got to start off. I think you might have had a bit of an issue with the forest.
It slowed us down, and that's the thing. You slow it down, giving you more chance to shoot us.
And I don't know if the war boss necessarily did anything.
No, he did. He did.
Well, he let you advance and charge.
Yeah.
And he
Which
killed...
I got into second round combat.
But if the woods weren't there, you would have moved another 4 inches further, so you wouldn't have had to advance.
Yeah. But as I say, it's one of those things where imagine... That's one of the things I think... It's, such a difference now in 9th edition is how the field is small. Because remember, like in 8th edition, how vital it was to have my war boss, because then you had to advance. You had to close that gap down. And with Evil Sins, of course, then you had those extra bit of bonuses that allowed you to cover ground very quickly.
Yeah.
I said this, it's not necessary because they're just right in your face anyway. They're right there. And so it kind of, maybe it's starting to think like maybe a war boss is necessary because you could still be able to close that small gap down quite easily.
It does depend on the battleground, or at least the battle plan. Because while this one had us starting 18 inches apart, some of them do have you starting the standard 24 inches apart. 18 inches apart really works nicely in the favour of orcs. But I think when it comes down to list building, because you don't necessarily know what kind of mission you're playing, you're almost pushed towards a more sort of like tournament-style list building process, where it's not a matter of I'm building a list to fight my mate who's playing Necrons. It's I'm building a list which needs to have some means of mobility to grab objectives if it's far away. It needs to have some ability to hide things. I mean, we constructed we put the objectives in place, didn't we? And then we worked together and took it in turns to place bits of scenery to construct the map. Is there anything that you think you might want to reflect back on that? Because
maybe I should have moved the forest a bit out of my way so that I could have got ground quicker.
I think that my Canoptic Reanimator should have had +1 to its saving throw because it was in a crater. But then it wasn't infantry, so I don't know if that actually counts. It's a monster, so I don't think it gets the bonus.
I do want to ask about the different game modes because as I say, for me, like there's been quite a lot of games where it's been getting objectives and then trying to hold objectives, which I just bores me. It really does because I don't want to be standing on an objective. I'm wondering if there's like other game modes where you can go around like trying to just literally just kill each other as much as you can and stuff.
I think that boils down into things like maybe some of the open play missions. If we take a look at maybe that's another video to take a look at. So maybe we'll make that later. But like if I just go over here to open hostility. Mission objectives. If at the end of the battle, one army has been destroyed, the player commanding the opposing army is the victor. Otherwise, the player who has the closest model to the center of the battlefield is the victor. Hold at all costs.
Oh,
Either
yeah.
table your opponent or control the middle of the table at the end of the battle. That's one of the
Yeah. There was.
that's one of the
I
open
remember.
war missions, and then it's got like a whole list for like suggestions for open play missions, which we can take a look at in another video.
Here's a.
But when it comes to match to play, it's
Here's a.
all like tournamenty style things of rack up your
Yeah.
secondary objectives, rack up the things. When it comes, so I mean, the issue that I think orcs fall into is that orc boys are kind of slow, and so they're not going to be surging across the
Yeah.
table and getting to the enemy turn one.
Yeah.
And so
There's ways around that. As I say, like Evil Sons do a lot better. And then you can get, as I say, like Evil Sons with a war boss, you can gain ground really quickly. I've shown you can do that. And other things, you've got things like the jump, where you put them in a vehicle to cross. There's a lot of ways of being able to get them into combat very quickly.
if you
It was just in this
really
particular situation, they a bit hindered.
if you really wanted to like double down on the I'm going to kill as much as I can of my opponents, then assassinate attrition line breaker as your secondary objectives, take evil sons, and literally just try and wah your way across the board into close combat and kill things is probably the way to go, because if you can get your opponent down to a crippled force by the start of turn 3, you can start falling back and grabbing the primary objective, having made a decent headway with your secondary objectives to maybe hold the battlefield. But that's really going to focus on getting there immediately.
Yeah.
So speed freaks are going to be great. Orcs in trucks are going to be great. The jump is going to be great.
So for us, it's all about essentially, as I say, like just trying to get across the field.
Yeah.
One thing I think is an interesting question, because I remembered I was speaking to a friend not too long ago about this. But we're saying about how, originally you used to have the cards and, to generate what your objectives are. And of course, there was kind of this random bit about it, where you didn't know what you were going to get. And then, of course, it would change the game style, because then you have to go, this turn, I need to try and get this to get the points. Whereas, of course, now you've already decided what your objectives are before the game. So do you think that it kind of removes this element of kind of excitement because of the randomness of it, where it's just everything kind of feels like you're just playing one style throughout the game? Or do you prefer the kind of the smoothness of that?
I think there's enough randomness in 40k as it stands. The cards were a bit too random, and so they introduced the thing like, oh, well, okay, you can veto some cards from the deck because your Necrons, why the hell would you ever try to manifest psychic powers? Get rid of it. Although I would have loved a card that was just like, manifest some powers of the Catan, and I'd be like, okay, like, I can only fail this on a 1. Well, so you've still got all of the dice rolls involved, and you've still got to react to your opponent. Now, one of the things that I kind of saw semi-recently was, it was a game. It was a couple of American YouTubers. I don't recall the name of their channel. I wasn't subscribed to it. I just happened across it. But it was a game that they did with Primaris Ultramarines fighting Firstborn Imperial Fists. And the Firstborn Imperial Fists didn't bring any troops. They brought elites and heavy supports and HQs. So they started at fewer command points. And the game ended with about 10 points between them. And the Imperial Fist had terrible dice rolls, but he was just reacting to the dice rolls and making the decisions to play with the mission to try and like maintain that element. So I think there's still the element of excitement there, and in the randomness, to try and respond to do as well as possible with your circumstance, and that is, I think, a decent element of excitement.
Okay.
And I think it also provides an element to. I think it takes away from people's ability to react snappily in the moment. You're no longer having to stand there and make a split decision in a game. And realistically, you don't want to be... If you're standing at a Warhammer table playing a game of Warhammer for 4 hours, you kind of are starting to lose to like lose your train of thought by the end of it. This video has gone on for almost 2 hours. It was about an hour and a half of us playing, but after turn 2, turn 3, 4, and 5 are actually really, really quick. So, to sort of conclude my rambling thought here, I think it has taken away from the randomness that is in the game, but not substantially so that you can't still have fun and the excitement of the random nature. And it has actually opened up a situation where people who are better at trying to construct a well-balanced list have an opportunity to let that show more on their tabletop than people who are really good at sitting there and saying, what is the best thing for me to do in this moment? Admittedly, people who can do both of those are still going to really succeed most.
It kind of, because I'm trying to think of parallels in like real life, because sometimes a person who is better at reacting ends up being the victor.
Yep.
So I think for me, like looking at the Spanish Armada, for instance, Philip gave his men instructions and they followed the instructions to the T. Whilst with the Queen Elizabeth, she just let her guys, like Francis Drake, make their own decisions. And so they were able to adapt to the situation. And when they realized the conditions of the water and stuff, they were able to use it to their advantage and defeat the Spanish Armada.
Yep.
So sometimes I feel like it's one of those things where, sometimes having a good plan, of course, is going to, help you win. But then sometimes you want to have those players who are very good at reacting as well, probably should also be given kind of rewarded for that as well, because that is another intelligence.
I think they are. So to take your example, I think in Warhammer, Francis Drake is the guy who sees the guys come up and has a really unfortunate situation whereby effectively he's had a bunch of his guys destroyed, so he's actually at a disadvantage with like the number of dudes he's got on the table. He's had a bad turn, effectively. It's not quite the same because I don't think the Spanish like destroyed his fleet in any way, did they?
No.
But like effectively, he brought less to the table than the Spanish did, and so we can just sort of see that the Spanish had a really nice alpha strike, turn 1, wiped half his army off the table. But after that, he made the intelligent decisions to fall back and play the game, and force the Spanish into a situation where they sailed around the top of Scotland and wrecked themselves.
Yes.
It's still an element, but the Spanish did bring the better force to the table, and so they were at an advantage initially. They just weren't able to capitalize on the advantage. Francis Drake was able to react to his disadvantage and capitalize on the small advantages that he did have where they were present. So I think that's still around. It's now, I think a little bit of weight has been taken off of it. You can still do great, but it's definitely a skill that you need to learn, and I think it will start to separate out those who are really good at both aspects of the game from those who are only good at one of those aspects of the game, and suddenly those guys who are only good at one or the other aspect of the game from those who are just bad at the game.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And I mean, as I was saying, this Imperial Fist player, he was saying like sometimes the dice screw you, but a good player can still keep pace if the dice screw them.
Yeah. All right, so you've basically saying you think it's a bit more balanced then. It's kind of somewhere in the middle of the two.
I'm not so sure it's so many more or less balanced. I think it's just different.
All right.
Yeah.
But, so you did. I mean, of course you were victorious. I mean, maybe a bit biased, but you just enjoy the.
I mean, you know me. I'm not necessarily like desperate to win a game. Georgie, my girlfriend, super competitive. I'm just happy to play a nice game. If she wins and tables me in turn 2 with her Space Wolves. Space Wolves are really cool. I'm just happy for them. I just love the opportunity to sit down and play a game of Warhammer and see a narrative unfold before me. Which is why, really, I wanted to push for this Crusade campaign that we're about to take place in doing.
Already got a list ready for it, actually, and I don't think today has really changed my mind, actually. I think I've kind of just enforcing the idea of what my army should be.
What are you thinking?
Thinking for my army?
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be spoilers. I don't want to give spoilers out.
Well, I've already shown the internet what my army is, so I'm not going to change it.
Oh, fair enough. Let's just say that where Admiral's going to be taking a bit of a distance when he overlooks the Orcs coming in with a very, I would say, balanced and hopefully a much more controlling the field army.
Fair enough. So you are going to be looking
Yes.
to really like take the land and then hold it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that I've created a sort of, because I've been thinking about like how would I deal with the AdMech? How will I deal against the Imperial? Then then onto the Necrons, and I think I've like got a way of going. This army should be able to have something that will help it defend against each of those things.
Fantastic.
So
Right.
yes,
Well, I had a lot of fun playing today.
so do
Did
I.
you? I'm glad you had fun as well. Some positions your dice looked like they were really great. Some positions not so much, and it was kind of the
It
same
was
for
good.
me, wasn't it? I think we
Yeah.
both had our ups and downs of the dice. I had some good later turn. I had a good second turn, not so good a first turn. You the other way around. So
Yeah.
with that, I think we will go ahead and conclude for today. So, thank you everyone for watching, and I do look forward to seeing you next time. Please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It helps us out in more ways than you can know. Please go ahead and share our videos with your friends if you think anyone might be interested in what we've been talking about, and if you would like to engage in our Meet series, please get in contact, leave a comment saying that you'd be interested in it. Join our Discord and send us a message there. It would be, well, we would just love to hear from you guys and have the opportunity to showcase your army and what makes you so passionate about Warhammer 40,000. So without further ado, thank you for joining us today, and we will go ahead and see you, well, next time.